My brother said, "Let's get rid of the useless people in the family, and you'll be the first." My parents laughed. "The only thing you're good for is the money you bring home." I took a deep breath and said, "Great, in that case, start packing your bags, because this house is mine. My name's Ethan Walker, I'm 31, and I've worked myself into the ground for years. 60-hour weeks as a construction project manager, making around $8,500 a month. 3 years ago, I bought the house I'd always dreamed of. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a pool, and a backyard that looked straight out of a magazine. Every inch of it came from my sweat, my late nights, and every ounce of energy I had left after work. Then one afternoon, my parents showed up on my doorstep. My dad, Rick, was 58, and said he'd retired early because of health issues. My mom, Linda, gave me the same line. My younger brother, Brandon, never lasted more than 6 months in any job he got. The rent went up again, Dad said, looking exhausted. We can't afford it anymore. You've got this big place all to yourself. Maybe we could stay here for a bit, just until we find something. I should have said no, but they were family. So I said, 6 months, that's it. They promised. 2 weeks later, I came home to find them lounging by the pool, drinks in hand, while the kitchen looked like a war zone. The utility bills skyrocketed. Electricity from $180 to $420, water from $90 to $210, groceries from $400 to $100 a month. I asked if they could help with the expenses. "We don't have any extra money," Dad said without hesitation. "And Brandon?" "Still unemployed. He barely looked up from his video game when I asked if he'd been job hunting." That's when the comments started. "Ethan's always working," Mom would say. "He doesn't know how to enjoy life." We do. 6 months turned into a year. When I finally asked, "So, when are you planning to move out?" Dad said, "Why would we? We're comfortable here. We're family, Ethan. You shouldn't be keeping tabs." I felt trapped, guilty for wanting my own space, angry for being treated like a stranger in my own home. Then came the breaking point. After a brutal 80-hour week, I got home late one night. I walked into my bedroom and froze. My furniture was gone. All of it. In its place were my parents' things. Bed, dresser, pictures. My clothes were stuffed in boxes in the guest room. I went downstairs, shaking. "What the hell did you do?" I demanded. Dad didn't even look guilty. "We decided we needed the master bedroom," he said casually. "It's bigger. We're 2 people. It just makes more sense." Mom added, "Don't be childish, Ethan. It's just a room." No. It was my room. In my house. I didn't say another word. I went upstairs, locked myself in the guest room, opened my laptop, and logged into my savings account. Balance: $47,850, money I'd been saving for an investment property. I refreshed the page. $12,320. I refreshed again. Same number. My chest tightened. Transaction history: 3 days ago. A transfer of $35,530 to an account I didn't recognize. I went downstairs, heart pounding. Who touched my savings account? Dad didn't even look up from the TV. "Brandon needed capital to start his business," he said, like it was no big deal. "It's a family loan." "I didn't authorize that," I snapped. "You're so selfish about money," Mom said. "You make good money, you'll earn it back." It took me 3 years to save that. "Brandon will pay you back once the business takes off," Dad replied. "What business?" I turned to my brother. "An electronics store," he muttered. "With who?" "A friend. You don't know him." "You have no business plan," I said. "I don't owe you an explanation," he shot back. Dad already approved the loan. "It wasn't a loan," I said through my teeth. "It was theft." Dad stood up. "Watch your mouth. We're family. What's yours is ours." "No," I said quietly. "What's mine is mine. I earned it." Mom jumped in. "We gave you a roof when you needed one." "I gave you a roof," I said. "This house is in my name." "Technicalities." Dad waved it off. "You're thinking like a lawyer. We're talking about family." I went upstairs and called the bank. "Sir," the rep said, "the transfer was authorized with your password and security code." "I didn't authorize anything," I said. "Does anyone else have access to your information?" I thought of my laptop. I always left it in the living room. My passwords were saved in the browser. "I need to report fraud," I said. "To do that," she replied, "you'll need to file a police report. But if the person who made the transfer lives with you, it can get complicated. Can I recover the money?" "It depends," she said. "You'll need legal representation." I hung up, furious. I searched Property Lawyer Dallas TX and called the first office with good reviews. "Law Office of Daniel Whitaker," said a calm voice. "How can I help you?" "I need an urgent consultation," I said. "My family's living in my house rent-free. They stole my savings. Can you come tomorrow at 9? "I'll be there." That night I didn't sleep. I printed statements, collected documents, and packed evidence. By morning I was done being the nice guy. When I sat across from Daniel Whitaker, he looked at the papers and said, "You have a strong case. The house is in your name. They don't pay rent. There's no lease. That's grounds for eviction." "And the money? Harder, but possible," he said. "If we prove unauthorized access, we can file for a freeze and potential recovery." "How long will it take?" "For eviction, 30 days if they cooperate, 60 if they resist. For the money, maybe 3 to 6 months." "I want to start now," I said. "I'll need a $1,000 retainer." I wrote the check on the spot. By the end of the meeting, I finally felt something I hadn't in a long time: control. But I had no idea how ugly things were about to get. Leaving the lawyer's office, I felt lighter than I had in months. For the first time since my parents moved in, I wasn't drowning. I had a plan, and someone who actually knew how to fight back. I drove straight to work. My boss, Mark Evans, called me into his office almost as soon as I walked in. "Ethan," he said, "I got a strange call last night. A man claiming to be your brother said you're mentally unstable and having family problems. He suggested we should keep an eye on you." I froze. "Did he give a name?" "No," Mark said. But he had your last name. I let out a bitter laugh. That was Brandon. My family's been staying in my house for free, and when I hired a lawyer to evict them, they started trying to sabotage me. Mark leaned back in his chair. Do you need some time off? No, I said. If I stop working, I'll lose my mind. But if he calls again, please report it as harassment. You've got my support, he said firmly. Don't let this break you. That night, as I was reviewing blueprints in my office, a text popped up from an unknown number. We know you hired a lawyer. Big mistake. You'll regret betraying your family. I took a screenshot and forwarded it to Daniel, my lawyer. He replied almost instantly, keep every message. They'll help us in court. The next day, the court messenger arrived at my house with the official eviction notice. I'd arranged to leave work early so I could be there when it happened. I parked in my own driveway and rang the doorbell. Mom opened the door. Why are you ringing the bell? It's your house. Exactly, I said. That's why I'm here, with this gentleman. The messenger handed her the envelope. Bold letters across the top read, Notice to vacate. They had 30 calendar days to leave the property. Mom's face went pale. What is this? What I should have done a year ago, I said flatly. Dad came out of the living room. You can't be serious. You've got 30 days, I said. You can leave voluntarily or wait for a court order. Your choice. Brandon appeared behind them, scowling. You're a piece of crap, Ethan. And you're a thief, I said evenly. You stole $35,000 from my account. It was a loan, Dad barked. A loan requires permission. You committed fraud. Brandon stepped forward, fists clenched. The messenger moved between us. Sir, he said to Brandon, if you touch him, I'll call the police right now. Brandon backed off, muttering. Mom started crying. How can you do this to your own parents? We're family. No, I said. Family respects boundaries. You just used me. Dad jabbed a finger toward me. We raised you. We gave you everything. You gave me food and a roof until I was 18. That's called parenting. I've given you free housing for 12 months. We're even. Dad snatched the papers from the messenger's hand. We'll fight this. Then spend your money on a lawyer, I said. You'll lose. That night, I checked into a Holiday Inn 10 minutes from work. A small room, clean sheets, blessed silence. For the first time in a year, I slept through the night. The next morning, while eating breakfast in the hotel restaurant, my phone rang. Daniel. Your family hired an attorney, he said. They're asking for a mediation meeting. What are they offering? I asked. To pay $2,800 a month in rent and stay for another 6 months. No. Are you sure? Legally, that's a reasonable offer. I've spent a year living like a prisoner in my own house, I said. I don't want their money. I just want my home back, and my savings. Daniel paused. Understood. We'll proceed with the eviction. 2 days later at the gym near my office, I met Isabel Hart. She was on the treadmill next to mine, earbuds in, but no music playing. I noticed she kept glancing at her tablet, some spreadsheet filled with numbers. One page slipped from her folder. I picked it up. Here, I said. Thanks, she replied. Guess it's obvious I'm an accountant. Numbers kind of give it away, I said, smiling. I'm in construction management. Ethan Walker. She pointed to the company badge I'd forgotten to remove from my shirt. I figured, she said, laughing softly. It was the first genuine laugh I'd had in weeks. We started talking. Nothing deep, just gym talk, random life things. But over the next couple of weeks, we kept running into each other. Same time, same machines. Then the conversations grew longer. My family's a mess too, she said one evening after our workout. That's why I moved across the country. Haven't seen them in years. Do you ever feel guilty? I asked. At first, yeah, she said. Then I realized guilt is just another way for toxic people to control you. Once you see that, it stops working. Her words hit me like a jolt. A week later, after another late workout, she invited me for coffee. I told her everything. The house, the stolen money, the eviction. She listened without interrupting. You're doing the right thing, she said finally. I had to do the same once. Cut people off to stay sane. What happened with your family? I asked. They wanted me to co-sign a $100,000 loan for my brother's business. I said no. They called me ungrateful, but I paid my own way through college. They didn't spend a dime on me. Still, they thought they owned my success. Did you forgive them? I didn't need to, she said simply. I just stopped letting them live rent-free in my head. It was the most honest conversation I'd had in months. Before we left, she handed me a business card. If you ever need financial advice, call me. How much do you charge? For you? Nothing. You seem like someone who deserves a break. I smiled. Then I'll take it. On day 23 of the eviction notice, Daniel called again. They filed an appeal, he said. They're claiming you abandoned the home. What? They say you moved out voluntarily and they've been maintaining it. So they have possession rights. That's a lie, I said. I know, Daniel replied, but I'll need proof, bills, receipts, anything showing you paid for everything. I spent that entire night sorting through documents, utility bills, grocery receipts, pool maintenance invoices, property taxes, all in my name, all paid by me. I scanned and sent everything to Daniel. 2 hours later, his reply came, perfect. This will win the case. Day 30, the final day of the notice. I arrived with Daniel and a court officer. Mom opened the door, eyes red and swollen. Please, Ethan, don't do this, she whispered. You had 30 days, I said calmly. We have nowhere to go. That's not my problem. Dad appeared behind her. Son, think about what you're doing. This will destroy us. You already destroyed me, I said, for 12 months. Brandon came downstairs with a suitcase. I'm leaving, he muttered. This place sucks anyway. Where are you going? Mom asked. Renting a room from a buddy. Got a part-time gig at his shop. He walked out without another word. The officer spoke firmly. Ma'am, sir, you have 2 hours to gather essentials. The rest will be cataloged and stored. 2 hours? Mom cried. We've lived here for a year. That's the standard, the officer replied. Daniel motioned for me to step outside. You can still stop this, he said quietly. Are you sure you want to continue? I looked back at the house. The pool, the kitchen window, the life I'd built and lost inside those walls. I'm sure, I said. Let's finish this. An hour and a half later, my parents walked out with 3 suitcases each. Where will you go? I asked. To your Uncle Mike's, Dad said stiffly. At least he understands loyalty. He knows what you did, I said. And if he believes you, that's his problem. They didn't respond. The officer changed the locks and handed me the new keys. Property is now legally in your custody, he said. They left in a taxi. Didn't look back. I stepped inside. The silence was heavy, but for the first time, it was mine. The house was exactly how I remembered it, except empty. I sat on the floor of the living room, pulled out my phone, and called Isabel. It's over, I said. How do you feel? I don't even know. Empty, relieved, angry, all of it. That's normal, she said softly. You just finished a war. Now you rebuild. She came over that night with Chinese takeout and 2 beers. We ate sitting on the floor, surrounded by nothing but echoes. What's next? She asked. I get my money back, fix the house, and start living again. Good plan, she said, smiling. That night, she stayed until midnight. When she left, she hugged me and said, You're going to be okay, Ethan. For the first time in months, I actually believed it. 3 days after the eviction, I ran into Uncle Mike outside my office. No warning, no call. He was just standing there when I walked out of a meeting, hands in his pockets like he'd been waiting for hours. We need to talk, he said. I'm working, I replied. Ethan, your parents are crushed. They're sleeping on my couch. Your mother cries every day. I looked him straight in the eye. And they're still your parents, he said, voice cracking. You can't just turn your back on them. They're 2 adults who lived off me for a year. They stole from me. They took my room in my own house. Tell me, Mike, what would you have done? He sighed, rubbing his forehead. They made mistakes. But they're family. No, I said. They're users, and I'm done being used. He stared at me for a long time. You're harder than I thought. I learned from the best, I said, walking away. That afternoon, Daniel called. Good news, he said. The judge approved a temporary freeze on your parents' accounts. How much are we talking about? We've recovered $12,000 from your father's account and another $6,000 from a joint account. That's $18,000 total. I exhaled. And the rest? Brandon spent it. Paid off debts, bought a used car, nothing left to seize. Can I sue him? You could, Daniel said, but he doesn't own anything. You'd win on paper and get nothing, so I get half back. Half is better than none, he was right. But it still stung. 2 weeks later, my boss called me into his office again. Ethan, Mark said with a grin. How would you feel about running the new regional branch? I blinked. You're serious? 35% raise, company car, annual bonus. When do I start? Don't you want to think about it? There's nothing to think about, I said. I'm in. I left his office on cloud 9 and immediately called Isabel. Dinner's on me, I said. I've got big news. That night we met at an Italian restaurant near her office. I told her everything. She smiled. You deserve this. You've been through hell and you still got up every day. Come with me, I said impulsively. Come where? To Austin. That's where the new branch is. Her fork stopped halfway to her mouth. Ethan, we've only known each other a month. I know. But you make me feel calm. I haven't felt that in years. She took a sip of wine, watching me carefully. Is this real? Or are you just running away from your family? Both, I admitted. But mostly the first one, she smiled faintly. I'll think about it. 3 days later, she texted, got a job offer in Austin. Senior auditor, start in 2 months. Not for you, just a good opportunity. But it helps that you'll be there. I sent a heart emoji. She replied, no cheesy emojis, we're professionals. I laughed out loud in my office. A week before my move, Mom showed up at my house. She rang the bell. I'd changed all the locks. I opened the door. How did you even find me? Your uncle, she said. Please, 5 minutes. I stepped aside. She came in, eyes tired, hair messy, holding her purse like a shield. Brandon's sick, she said. What kind of sick? We don't know yet. He needs tests. They cost $8,000. I have that money, I said. Her eyes lit up. You'll lend it to us? No, I'm using it to furnish my new apartment in Austin. Austin? I got promoted. I'm leaving next week. She went pale. You can't just go. We're your family. We've had this talk already. Please, Ethan, your brother could be really sick. Then he can use the 17 grand he stole from me. He doesn't have it anymore. Then he can get a job, like I did. She stared at me, tears building. I don't even recognize you anymore. Good. I grew up. I'm done being your ATM. This time, when she started crying, it wasn't the manipulative kind. It was quiet, raw. Do you hate us that much? I don't hate you, I said. I just don't need you. But we need you. You should have thought about that before you used me. What if Brandon dies? He won't. He's fine. You just want more money. How can you be so cold? You taught me. She left without another word. I locked the door and leaned against it. Drained. No guilt. No sadness. Just exhaustion. My phone buzzed. Isabel. You okay? She asked. My mom came by. Wanted money for Brandon's medical bills. Did you give her any? No. Good, she said. I'm not going to tell you to be compassionate. I'm going to tell you to protect your peace. The rest is noise. I love you, I said. She was quiet for a few seconds. You don't have to say it back. I just needed to say it. We hung up, but she stayed on the line a few seconds longer, breathing softly before she finally disconnected. I smiled for the first time that day. Moving day came fast. I hired professional movers, packed only my essentials: furniture, clothes, documents, everything else I sold or donated. At dawn, the truck pulled out of the driveway. 2 hours later, so did I. I didn't tell my family I was leaving. No goodbye, no note, nothing. Halfway to Austin, I stopped at a scenic overlook, pulled out my phone, and blocked every contact. Mom, Dad, Brandon, Uncle Mike, all of them. Then I put the phone away, took a deep breath, and kept driving. 5 hours later, I arrived at my new apartment in West Austin. 2 bedrooms, balcony, city view. The movers were already unloading. Isabel showed up 2 hours later with tacos and iced tea. "Welcome to your new life," she said. "Thanks for being here." "Where else would I be?" We ate sitting on the floor. "Did you tell your parents you moved?" she asked. "No." "Do you feel bad about that?" "Not at all." "Good." Later that night, after unpacking the basics, she stood by the door about to leave. She kissed me quickly. "Just so you know," she said. "Me too." "Me too what?" "What you said on the phone." Before I could respond, she smiled and shut the door. I stood there for a while, grinning like an idiot. That night, I slept on a mattress on the floor. No sheets, no pillows, but I slept better than I had in years. Because for the first time, everything around me was mine. My choices, my peace, my future. No toxic family, no guilt, no manipulation, just quiet, and it felt incredible. 2 months after I moved to Austin, life finally started to feel normal. Work was intense, but rewarding. I'd settled into my new apartment, joined a gym, and Isabel and I were spending more time together. Coffee runs, weekend hikes, quiet dinners that didn't end in shouting or guilt. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I was constantly cleaning up someone else's mess. Then, one Saturday morning, the past showed up at my front door. When I looked through the peephole, my stomach dropped. Uncle Mike. He must have called my office again. They'd told him where I lived. I opened the door halfway, leaving the chain on. "How did you find me?" I asked. "I told your company it was a family emergency." "There's no emergency, and there's no family," I said coldly. "Ethan, please," he said. "Let me in for a minute." I hesitated, then unclipped the chain. Isabel, who had been in the kitchen making breakfast, peeked out. "Who is it?" she asked. "My uncle," I said. She nodded. "I'll stay," she whispered, "if that's okay." "Yeah, stay." Mike stepped in, looking uncomfortable when he noticed Isabel. "I'm Isabel," she said politely. "Ethan's girlfriend." He shook her hand, then turned back to me. "Your parents are still at my place. It's been 3 months. I can't keep doing this." "That's not my problem," I said. "Brandon's been sick," he said quietly. "Hepatitis C. He needed treatment. I lent them $15,000 to cover it." I blinked. 15,000? My stolen money could have covered that. "I know," Mike said. "But it's gone. He spent it years ago." "Then he can pay you back," I said. "Not me. He barely earns enough to eat," Mike said. "Your parents don't work full-time. I can't keep paying their bills. You need to help." "No," I said simply. "You don't get it. They created this situation. Not me." Isabel spoke up for the first time. "Did you ever tell them what they did was wrong?" Mike looked confused. "Excuse me? When they stole Ethan's savings and lived in his house rent-free, did you ever tell them it was wrong?" "I didn't know the full story," he muttered. "But you know now," she said calmly. "And you're still here asking him to fix it for them. You see the problem?" Mike stared at her, speechless. "She's right," I said. "You're asking me to save people who never took responsibility. Your mom's in therapy," he said softly. "She's medicated for depression." "You really don't feel anything about that?" "I feel like she should have gone years ago, before she raised 2 sons who thought guilt was currency." Mike's face hardened. "You're cruel." "No," I said. "I'm finally honest." He stood up. "They'll end up homeless. There are shelters, programs, options," I said. He looked at me like I was a stranger. "Can you really sleep at night knowing that? Better than I ever slept living with them." He left without another word. The door slammed. Isabel came over and hugged me. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "Actually, yeah." That afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number from Dallas. I almost ignored it, but something in me picked up. "Ethan Walker," I said. "Mr. Walker, this is Officer Ramirez with the Dallas Police Department. Your brother Brandon Walker has been detained." My heart sank. "For what?" "Attempted burglary. He was caught breaking into a residence. The homeowners pressed charges. Why are you calling me?" "You're listed as his emergency contact." "Take me off that list," I said flatly. "Sir, he's asking if you can post bail. It's 50,000 pesos. Sorry, about $2,800. I'm not paying it," I said. "Are you sure? If not, he'll spend at least 3 days in county jail until his hearing. He can spend a week for all I care. He stole from me too." The officer hesitated. "Understood. We'll contact his parents." "Good luck with that." I hung up. When I went to the balcony, Isabel was sipping coffee. "Who was that?" she asked. "Brandon's in jail. Tried to rob a house." She raised an eyebrow. "You going to bail him out?" "No." "You feel bad?" "I should," I said. "But I don't." "Then you're healing," she said quietly. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not from guilt, but anger. Brandon had everything handed to him. 2 parents who spoiled him, a brother who saved him more times than he deserved, and still, he chose to steal again. The next morning, I went for a run, came back, and found Isabel in the kitchen making coffee. "Your mom called," she said. On this number, she found the landline for the apartment somehow. What did she say? That Brandon's in jail, that you're the only one who can help. If you don't post bail, he'll have a criminal record. And what did you tell her? That you'd think about it. I laughed. You're evil. I'm practical. Monday morning, I was at work when Mark called me into his office. Ethan, he said, excellent work on the Skyline Towers project. The client's thrilled. They just awarded us 3 more contracts, 30 million total. My jaw dropped. Congratulations, he said. You're leading the team. 5 engineers under you, and we're bumping your salary to $1,150 a month. I could barely process it. Effective when? Today, he said with a grin. When I left his office, I felt like I was walking on air. I called Isabel right away. Guess what? Another raise. How much? $11,500 a month. She whistled. You're killing it. Dinner's on me tonight. Fancy place. Deal. That night, we went to Alcove, one of the best restaurants in Austin. Wine, dessert, everything. Halfway through dinner, Isabel said, you know what I was thinking? 3 months ago, you were living in a hotel, fighting your family, completely wrecked, and now look at you. Yeah, I said. Look at what happens when you stop carrying dead weight. She nodded. Exactly. You started winning the second you let go. She was right. In just 3 months, I'd gained a promotion, peace, and a woman who actually respected me. Isabel, I said. Move in with me. She blinked. What? Officially? Let's find a bigger place together. Ethan, we've only been dating for 2 months. I know. But I know what I want. That's fast. After living through hell for a year, I recognize heaven when I see it. She laughed. That was cheesy. Sorry, won't happen again. It's okay, she said. You get 1 cheesy line a year, so I'll think about it. 2 days later, she sent me a link to a 3-bedroom apartment in downtown Austin. Want to check it out this weekend? Her text read. Absolutely, I replied. We saw it on Saturday. It was perfect. Bright, open, quiet. We signed the lease that same day. The night we moved in, we sat on the balcony watching the city lights. Do you miss Dallas? Isabel asked. Not at all, I said. I miss the house I bought, but not the people in it. And your family? I don't have family in Dallas. I'm serious. So am I said. Family isn't blood. It's the people who show up for you. She reached over and took my hand. You know I love you, right? It was the first time she'd said it out loud. I smiled. Yeah. I love you too. We kissed as the city glowed below us. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be, with the right person, in the right place, at the right time. No guilt, no manipulation, no chaos, just peace. And that peace was worth everything I'd left behind. 6 months after moving in with Isabel, life felt steady. I had structure again. Work, gym, dinner, sleep, repeat. No surprises, no late-night drama, no guilt. Then one afternoon, my assistant knocked on my office door. Someone's here asking for you, she said. Says he's your father. The name hit me like a punch. What? He said he's Rick Walker. I told him you were in a meeting, but he insisted on waiting. For a moment, I just sat there, staring at my desk. My heart was pounding. After a full minute, I stood up. Send him to conference room B, I said quietly. When I walked in, my father was sitting at the table. Thinner, older, his hands shaking. Ethan, he said. How did you even get past reception? I told them I was your dad. They let me up. They shouldn't have, I said flatly. What do you want? He swallowed hard. It's your mom. She tried to kill herself. My body went cold. When? 3 days ago. Pills. I found her in time. She's alive, but the doctors say she's still not stable. I sat down, not from shock, from exhaustion. Is she in a hospital? Yes, but they said she might try again if her situation doesn't change. What situation? She feels abandoned. She thinks her family doesn't love her anymore. I stared at him. And you came here because you think this is my fault. She's your mother, he said, voice rising. She's broken. You need to talk to her. Give her hope. I didn't break her, Dad. You did. You and Brandon. That's not fair. It's completely fair. You stole from me. You used me. You let him rob my account and called it a family loan. She stood by and said nothing. He slammed his hand on the table. We made mistakes, but this isn't the time for blame. You're right, I said. It's the time for accountability, something you've all avoided for years. He stood up, angry. If something happens to your mother, it'll be on you. No, I said quietly. It'll be on the people who made her life, and mine, miserable. He shook his head, disgusted. What happened to you? You used to be compassionate. I used to be stupid, I said. Now, I'm just done. He walked out, leaving the door open behind him. My assistant stepped in, wide-eyed. Are you okay? I'm fine, I said. Who was he? Nobody important. That night, Isabel found me on the balcony, staring out at the city. I heard your dad came to your office, she said softly. I nodded. He told me my mom tried to end her life. She put her hand on my arm. What are you going to do? Nothing. Her eyes widened. Ethan, she made her choices, I said. She let everything happen. She didn't stop any of it. I get that. But she's sick. This isn't just manipulation. I don't know what it is anymore, I said. Every time I open that door, they drag me back into hell. Isabel was quiet for a long time. Do you think you'll regret not calling her? No, I said automatically. But later that night, lying awake, I wondered if I was lying to myself. At 3 in the morning, Isabel came out to the balcony again. I was sitting there, wide awake. You can't sleep, she said. I keep replaying it, I admitted. Her voice, his words. I don't know what to feel anymore. You don't have to fix everything, she said. Maybe just acknowledge it. How? Call her. Just once. You don't owe her forgiveness. Just a little humanity. And if it opens the door again, then you close it, but at least you'll know you tried. I didn't answer. I just nodded slowly. 3 days later, I made the call. My dad picked up on the second ring. Ethan, how's Mom? She came home from the hospital yesterday. She's weak, quiet. Tell her I called, I said. Tell her I'm glad she's okay. Do you want to speak to her? No, Ethan, 5 minutes. I said no, I said sharply. That's all I can give right now. I hung up before he could answer. Isabel hugged me when I set the phone down. How do you feel? She asked. Strange, lighter. But also, numb. That's normal, she said. You set a boundary and you kept it. That's what healing looks like. 2 weeks later, my phone buzzed again. Uncle Mike. Your mom wants to see you, he said. I'm not going back to Dallas. She's doing better. Therapy 3 times a week. Medication's working. She wants one meal. Public place. Isabel can come. I looked over at Isabel, who was reading on the couch. She glanced up. What is it? Mike wants me to have lunch with my mom. Do you want to? She asked. I don't know. Then say yes, she said softly. If it goes bad, we leave. But at least you'll know. I sighed. Fine. Saturday, noon. I pick the restaurant. If she starts guilt-tripping, I'm done. Fair, he said. She'll agree. Saturday came. I chose a quiet cafe in a busy shopping district. Open, public, impossible to cause a scene. Mom arrived right on time with Uncle Mike beside her. She looked smaller somehow, thinner, gray streaks in her hair, no makeup. Ethan, she said softly. Mom. We sat across from each other. Isabel sat beside me, Mike beside her. For a while, no one spoke. Then Mom finally said, thank you for coming. You've got 30 minutes, I said evenly. She nodded. I wanted to say I'm sorry. For what, exactly? For everything. For living in your house. For letting your father take over. For not stopping Brandon. For making you feel like you weren't enough. The words were right, but the tone, it felt practiced. Your therapist told you to say that? I asked. She helped me understand what I did wrong, Mom said quietly, but the words are mine. What about Dad? He's trying too. He didn't come because he knew you didn't want to see him. I don't, I said. I'm not asking for forgiveness, she said. Just a chance to be better. Maybe one phone call a month. No money, no guilt, no manipulation, just updates. Isabel spoke softly. And if Ethan says no? Mom turned to her. Then I'll respect that. Really? I asked. You won't send Mike? Or show up at my office again? No. If you say no, it's no. I studied her face. For once, she looked like she meant it. And Brandon? I asked. He's still in prison, she said, voice trembling. 5-year sentence. He doesn't want visitors. Probably for the best. We ate mostly in silence. The food was good. None of us tasted it. Before leaving, Mom asked quietly, is he happy? Isabel smiled. Very. We take care of each other. Mom nodded, eyes glassy. That's all I ever wanted. When we stood to leave, she asked, can I hug you? I shook my head. Not yet. She nodded. I understand. She got in the car with Mike and left without another word. On the drive home, Isabel asked, how do you feel? I don't know yet. That's okay, she said. You don't have to decide tonight. That night, lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling, listening to Isabel's slow breathing beside me. For the first time, I realized I wasn't angry anymore. Not at them. Not at myself. Maybe forgiveness wasn't a moment. Maybe it was a slow release, one quiet breath at a time. A year after that lunch, my life looked nothing like it used to. I'd been promoted again, director of regional operations, making $13,000 a month. 10 engineers reported to me. Isabel and I had bought our own condo in Westlake, just outside Austin. 2 bedrooms, glass balcony, and sunlight pouring through every morning. We'd built a routine. Breakfast together, gym 3 times a week, dinner at home unless one of us had late meetings, weekends exploring hill country or catching live music downtown, and once a month, I'd call my mom. Nothing deep. 15 minutes max. She told me about her new job at a small cafe. I told her general updates about work. We didn't talk about the past. Dad never got on the phone. I didn't ask about him. It worked. It was distant, but peaceful. Then one Thursday, Mom called outside our usual schedule. Hey, I said. You okay? Her voice was shaky. Your father had a heart attack. The words froze me. Is he alive? Yes. But the doctors say he needs bypass surgery. It costs around $14,000. He doesn't have insurance. What about the public hospital? 6-month waiting list. He can't wait that long. Ethan. We need help. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Why are you calling me? Because we don't have enough. We've raised half through loans and family. We're still short. So, you're asking me for money. Please. It's life or death. Mom, everyone dies eventually, I said quietly. That doesn't make it my responsibility. She went silent. Then started crying. After everything we've been through? I thought you changed. I did, I said. That's why I'm not rescuing you again. I hung up. Isabel was making dinner when I came into the kitchen. Your mom? She asked. Dad's in the hospital. Heart attack, needs surgery. She set down the knife. Are you going to help? No. Are you sure? Completely. She studied me for a long moment. Ethan, I know you have every reason to be angry, but this is different. Is it? It's not a scam. It's his life. There are options, I said. Loans, payment plans. They just want the easy way again. And if they can't raise it, they'll figure it out. They always do. She didn't argue. But I saw it in her eyes. That part of her didn't agree. That night I barely slept. Not because I felt guilty, but because I felt tired. Tired of being tested. Tired of proving to myself that I was over them. The next day, Uncle Mike called. Ethan, listen. Your dad's not doing well. They need the surgery this week. I already told Mom no. He'll die if they don't do it. That's not on me, Mike. You're crossing the line between boundaries and cruelty. No, I'm not. I'm protecting my peace. There's a difference. They've already sold the car. Took out loans. Everyone in the family chipped in. They're still short 70,000 pesos, about $1,400. I frowned. Wait, they raised the rest? Yes, the entire family helped. Even the neighbors. I said nothing. For once, they're actually trying, he said. They're not asking for a handout, just the last piece to make it happen. I sat there for a long time after hanging up. Then I called Daniel, my lawyer. I need to send money to someone, I said. But I want it to be a loan contract, legally binding. How much? $1,500, 2-year term, 10% interest, miss a payment, and I can claim assets, Daniel chuckled. Still the cautious one, huh? Just make it airtight. 2 hours later, I had the contract. I emailed it to Uncle Mike. Your dad needs to sign it, I said. No signature, no money. 30 minutes later, Mike called back. He refuses, says he won't owe you anything. Then there's no deal. Ethan, this isn't a business transaction. It is now. I hung up. 4 hours later, Mom called. He signed it, she said. Mike has the papers. Please send it tonight. I wired the money. Remember, I said, this doesn't change anything between us. It's a loan, not a reunion. I understand, she said softly. Thank you. The surgery went well. 3 days later, Mom texted me a photo. Dad in a hospital bed, smiling weakly, tubes everywhere. He's going to be okay. I didn't reply. A month later, the first payment arrived. $65, right on time. Then another, and another. On the third payment, Mom sent an extra $10. Interest, the note read. Every month, without fail, they paid. For the first time, they were keeping their word. 9 months later, Isabel and I got engaged. A small dinner at home, no big gestures, no family, just peace. Are you going to tell them? Isabel asked eventually. I don't know. Are you inviting them? Definitely not. Then wait, she said. You'll know when you're ready. A month later, Mom's payment came with a handwritten note. Your father says thank you for the loan. He knows he didn't deserve your help, but he's proud of the man you became. Not because of him, but in spite of him. I read it 5 times. Didn't reply, but I saved it. When Isabel read it, she smiled softly. What are you going to do? Keep living, I said. That's all I ever wanted. That night, as I lay in bed, I thought about everything. The house, the stolen money, the anger, the years wasted trying to earn love that was never real. And for the first time, I didn't feel bitterness. I felt peace. Not forgiveness, not connection, just peace, and that was enough. 2 years after moving to Austin, Isabel and I got married. It wasn't a big production. Just 30 people in the garden of a small boutique hotel on the edge of the city. White lights strung through oak trees, a local band playing acoustic covers, and enough food for everyone to leave smiling. No drama, no guilt, no tension. Exactly how I wanted it. I sent one invitation. To my mother, not to my father, not to Brandon. Isabel asked if I was sure. Yeah, I said. Mom earned it. She's paid every month, hasn't asked for anything, and kept her word. When Mom arrived, she looked simple but elegant. Light blue dress, hair pinned up, no jewelry except a small silver necklace. Thank you for inviting me, she said quietly when we greeted her. Thank Isabel, I said. It was her idea. Isabel smiled. Every son deserves to have at least one parent there. During the ceremony, Mom cried quietly. No scenes, no interruptions. She sat at a table with Isabel's aunts and uncles, laughed politely at their jokes, and left early. Before she went, she hugged me. Are you happy? She asked. I am. That's all that matters, she said. Then I did one thing right. She started to walk away. You did something right today, I said. She smiled faintly, nodded, and left in a taxi. When Isabel came over, she took my hand. That was the right call, she said. I think so too, I replied. And just like that, the day ended exactly how it began, peaceful. 3 months after the wedding, I got an email from the corporate headquarters of my company. They were offering me a new position, Vice President of Operations. The catch? It was in Dallas, the city I'd sworn I'd never go back to. Are you going to take it? Isabel asked over dinner. I don't know, I admitted. It's a big step, she said, and it's not like you'd be going back to the same life. Still, I said, staring into my glass, it's complicated. She smiled. Ethan, you'd be going back as a different man. That's what matters. 2 weeks later, I accepted the job. We moved to uptown Dallas, into a modern house with 3 bedrooms and a small yard. I'd sold my old house years earlier, made $200 grand from it, enough for a solid down payment on the new one. The first night there, Isabel asked, think your parents will call now that you're back? Maybe, I said. But the rules don't change. They didn't call. At least not right away. 3 weeks later, Mom texted. Can I come by for coffee? Just me. 1 hour, I replied. She came on a Sunday afternoon with a homemade pie. She didn't say much, just looked around the house and smiled. It's beautiful, she said. You did well. Thanks, I said. Want some coffee? She nodded. We sat at the kitchen table like strangers learning to talk again. Your dad's different now, she said after a while. He's humble. Working part-time as a night guard. I'm glad he's working, I said carefully. He'd like to visit sometime. Not yet, she nodded. That's fair. When she left, she handed me an envelope. The last payment, she said. We finished the loan. I opened it. Inside was a small stack of bills. $65 plus an extra $10. What's this? Interest. Like the contract said. And a little extra. For helping us even when you didn't have to. It wasn't help, Mom. It was business. For you, she said softly. For me, it was grace. She smiled. Sad but genuine. You're stubborn. You get that from me. Guess I do. She got into her modest used car, one they'd bought with their own money, and drove away. I stood in the driveway long after she was gone. When Isabel came out, she asked, You okay? I think so, I said. Just feels strange. Closure always does, she said. A month later, my assistant told me someone was waiting in the lobby. When I walked out, my jaw clenched. Brandon. Thinner, quieter, older, he stood when he saw me. Hey, what are you doing here? I wanted to see you, and to give you this. He handed me a small envelope. Inside was 5,000 pesos, around $300. What is this? The first payment, he said, for what I stole. I stared at him. Brandon, it's been 3 years. I know. But in prison, I had a lot of time to think. I work in a construction shop now. I save what I can. I don't expect forgiveness. I just need to make it right. You don't have to do this, I said. I do, he said firmly. I can't move forward if I don't. He looked different. Not the lazy, smug kid who thought the world owed him. This version had scars, both visible and not. How much do you make? I asked. About $120 a week. I live with Mom and Dad. Pay rent, go to therapy twice a week. Court order. Still clean? Yeah, 2 years. I put the envelope in my jacket pocket. I'll accept this, I said. But not because I need it, because you need to give it. Fair, he said. Why'd you do it? I asked quietly. Why take my money back then? He hesitated. Because I could. Because Mom and Dad always said what's yours is ours. I never learned where the line was. And now? Now I know everything has a price, and I've paid mine. He nodded once, then left. Didn't ask for anything. Didn't even look back. That night, I told Isabel. Are you going to take his money? She asked. I already did. But I'll give it back when he finishes paying everything. He needs the lesson more than I need the cash. She smiled. You're better than you think. No, I said. I just finally understand what winning really means, which is not revenge, just living better than before. She leaned against me. That's the best kind of victory. 6 months later, Isabel told me she was pregnant. When we held the first ultrasound photo, I cried. Not from fear, but from peace. We called my mom that night. She cried too, but not in a manipulative way. Can I meet her when she's born? Yes, I said, with boundaries. Whatever boundaries you need, she said softly, and for the first time in my life, I believed her. 6 months later, Isabel gave birth to our daughter, Emma Grace Walker. I'll never forget that moment. The tiny cry, the warmth of her against my chest, the way Isabel smiled through exhaustion, whispering, we did it. For the first time in my entire life, I felt pure, unfiltered peace. No guilt, no noise, no chaos, just love, quiet, and real. My mom visited the hospital the next day. She stayed for 1 hour, exactly as agreed. She didn't come with gifts or advice, just tears. She's perfect, she said, holding Emma gently. You're a good man, Ethan. A better father than I ever was a mother. You did your best, I said. She smiled. No, but I'm learning to forgive myself for that. When she left, Isabel turned to me. That was healing. Yeah, I said softly. It really was. 6 months later, Emma was crawling, babbling, and completely ruling the house. Life was full but peaceful. Diapers, meetings, sleepless nights, laughter, everything that mattered. Then one afternoon my phone buzzed. Mom, hey, I answered. Her voice was trembling. Your dad's in the hospital. Another heart attack. Not as bad this time, but it scared him. He wanted me to call. Is he okay? He's stable. He just wanted you to know. Does he need money? No, she said quickly. I swear he doesn't want anything. He just wanted you to know. 2 days later, I went, alone. Isabel stayed with Emma. When I walked into the hospital room, Dad was awake, tubes in his arms, monitors beeping quietly. He looked up, shocked. Didn't think you'd come. Me neither, I said. He gave a weak laugh. Still the same mouth. Still the same heart attack, I said. He chuckled, then coughed. Yeah, well, guess some habits die hard. Silence filled the room for a while. Finally, I asked, you need anything? He shook his head. Your mom's handling it. She's stronger now, more than me, honestly. I nodded. Good. He looked at me, eyes watery. Ethan, I read your letter. I didn't send you a letter. No. Mine. The one I sent last year. You didn't answer. I didn't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, he said quietly. I just needed you to hear this. I don't expect forgiveness, but I regret everything. Every stupid choice, every word that made you feel small. You were enough, always were. I just wasn't. I sat down. For the first time in years, I saw him. Not the manipulator, not the liar, just a broken old man facing himself. I can't forgive you, I said. Not yet. Maybe never. He nodded slowly. That's fair. But, I added, I can see you're trying. That's something. He smiled faintly. It's enough. As I stood to leave, he whispered, "Can I meet Emma someday?" "Someday," I said. "But not yet," he nodded again. "I'll wait." When I got home, Isabel was in the living room with Emma on her lap. "How was it?" she asked. "Hard," I said, "but necessary." "You feel better?" "I feel free." I picked up my daughter. She smelled like lavender and baby lotion and something I couldn't quite name. Maybe peace, maybe the future. "Hey, princess," I whispered. "You have no idea how hard it was to get here." Isabel wrapped her arms around us. "You did it, Ethan. You really did." "Not forgiveness," I said. "Not yet." She smiled. "Peace counts too." And she was right. It wasn't about revenge or proving anyone wrong. It was about building something real, something they could never take away. Not a house, not money, but a family built on respect, calm, and boundaries. That was my victory, my empire, not built on guilt, but on freedom. Years later, when Emma was 5, she asked me, "Daddy, do you have a family?" I smiled. "I do. You and Mommy." "No, I mean like your mommy and daddy." I paused. "Yeah, sweetheart, I have them too. Do you see them?" "Sometimes," I said. "Not a lot." "Why not?" I looked at her. The perfect mix of innocence and curiosity. "Because sometimes loving people means staying far enough away to keep your peace." She thought about it, then nodded seriously. "Like when I don't want to share my crayons?" I laughed. "Kind of like that." She smiled, satisfied with the answer, and went back to coloring. I watched her for a long moment. My daughter, my peace, my proof that breaking the cycle was worth every scar. I don't know if forgiveness will ever come, but I know this. I stopped letting the people who broke me keep their hands on my life. And in doing so, I finally learned what family really means. It's not about who raised you. It's about who respects you, who shows up, who brings peace instead of pain. And sometimes that family is the one you build from scratch, in your own home, on your own terms, with the people who truly understand what love means.